They say that hindsight is 20/20, and that definitely applies to life abroad. You only learn in life by doing, and you can really only anticipate so much before making a major life change. And only after living in your new home for a bit can you look back and reflect. Well, in this video, I want to get into some things I wish I knew before I moved to France. Maybe they can help you. So if you're new here, bonjour tout le monde, I'm Diane, this is We in France, and we're just going to jump right in. So number one, that making friends and fitting in would be hard. Harder than expected. And I'm going to really underline that and say much harder than expected. Now, on the blog, if you follow me there, I've written about the lonely expat problem and just how hard this has been. But the fact remains that making friends as an adult is not an easy feat. You know, there's a new country, new language. You know, if you live in a small town, it can be really, really difficult. And it's not that I thought making friends would have been easy exactly, but I just figured after some effort, some time, that I'd have more than a few acquaintances and just people that I'm friendly with. But it doesn't always work how you think, right? Now, French people tend to make friends for life with people they grew up with, you know, going through school. And it's harder to break into those social circles, I feel, as a newcomer. And I will say that all the people I've met who I consider friends to this day are French people I've come into contact with at my local gym. So my advice to you is definitely get involved in an activity or an organization when you move, so you do have that social outlet, whether it's France or elsewhere. And it's probably good advice for even if you move within your own country. But whatever you do, don't give up. I'm there with you. And with that, I'm going to jump into number two. Learning French is an ongoing process without an end date. So yes, language learning never ends. You know, you're not going to get to some arbitrary point that says, yes, you speak French perfectly. You know, you improve daily, you do a little at a time. You'll surprise people around you with your skills, and you'll surprise yourself. But if you aim to be 100% fluent in every sense of the word in a month and speak like a native, that's not going to happen for 99.9% of us. You know, there's always more to learn. There's always more to see and to do, vocabulary, grammar, whatever. It's not a linear journey. It's certainly not black and white. And I feel that people who have never studied a language before, they sometimes have a warped sense of what it means to speak another language. Like, people think you either speak French or you don't. Like, it's just a binary, you know, and that one day you'll get this knowledge transfer that just clicks. And it's not like that. It's definitely a process. It's very nuanced. Sometimes you'll feel like you're backsliding, but you know, I'll be in it for the long haul, learning French. I'll always be learning, and I love that. All right, next, that French wine and cheese will kind of become an obsession, a great one. You know, who can resist the allure of like a €4 bottle of wine and a €2 wedge of cheese, brie or something? You know, not me. I know I'm not the only one. You can seriously get amazing bottles of wine from the grocery store, from producers directly for, you know, €10, even less than that. And the same goes for all kinds of cheeses and other local products. Now, having a French meal doesn't mean you need to empty your wallet. I indulge in wine and cheese pretty regularly, and I've come to really like a lot of French things and French foods and specialties that maybe I would never be exposed to back in the US. It's good stuff. And for me, one of my favorite things is when you visit a region and sample their local products right from the producer. So things like strawberries in May, taken right off the plant, right off the strawberry bush or whatever it is. Wine, where you see the grapes on the vines, you talk to the person who makes it. Stuff like that is really special, and I love that. And something I don't love is that sometimes you will hate France and it's not France's fault. This next one's important. And I want to underline that life problems happen to all of us. It's a fact. Everyone struggles with something. You're human, shit happens. It's a fact of life, and not every day is going to be a good day, but it makes you appreciate those good days even more when you're going through something. And when you're abroad, I think it is so easy to blame problems on the country, on France, because you live there. And, well, of course, the grass is greener elsewhere. This must be a France problem. And you tell yourself, oh gosh, that thing that's stressing me out, that would never happen at home, blah, blah, blah. And then you calm down and you realize that, yeah, of course, some problems are related to France, whether it's culture shock or stress or just a bad day. Many of them are just life problems or problems that we have with something, and they're not issues with the country that we now live in. And this leads me to my next point, that life problems seem really magnified when you're so far away. And when you're in a place that isn't really your home, or at least not yet, it can be really hard to cope. You know, friends and family going through life changes at home, when you're so far, buying a house, having kids, getting married, illnesses, grief, health issues. They're all much more difficult to manage when you're so far away, yours and loved ones. And FaceTime and chats and all that, phones, they can only do so much. And sometimes you just want to be close to those who you care about most. And the distance can be really, really hard. It doesn't mean you don't like France. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be abroad. It just means things are hard. And when you go through tough times, I feel that added fact that you're far from the comforts of home, including your support system and the people who have always been there for you, when you're in that new culture, new language, just everything just doesn't roll off your tongue as easily as it does in English. And all of those stressors that come with living abroad can make those hard times even more unmanageable. And I feel you need to have a very, very strong sense of self. You need to have a strong support system around you, and you need to have unwavering confidence in who you are to get through it. And keep your head up. I think those three things are prerequisites for moving abroad. I don't say that lightly, and I wish I knew that before because I would have worked on those things. And next, I want to say the littlest things can make a huge difference. And I mean that in a good way. You know, if you told me 10 years ago, or I don't know, 5 years ago, that I'd enjoy Sunday afternoon walks in the park to nowhere in particular, I probably would have laughed at you and been like, nah, not really my thing. But now I've come to take pleasure in those seemingly silly things, like when I used to walk my dog there, who passed away a couple of months ago. Or, you know, getting 20 cents off a can of tuna that's never on sale. Or stopping to chat with my elderly neighbor for a few minutes, you know, and learn a few new words in French, you know. So all of these little things that maybe I never took time to appreciate or took for granted, because back in the US, they weren't big deals. And here they're small deals, but they count for more, you know. Even just looking forward to running errands, I don't know, maybe I'm a weird one. I've just come to be more appreciative of these little things as my perspective has changed or shifted in a way, you know, as I've learned to slow down and breathe more, and things like getting fresh flowers at the market, or even just taking time to sit down with a fresh cup of coffee each morning and not rushing around and being busy. Those are the things I look forward to these days. And if that kind of topic interests you, I made a whole video on it. If France forces us to slow down more, you might enjoy my thoughts on that. And the next one is that your spouse or your partner, they will be your everything. And in marriage, we all wear multiple hats depending on the day. We try to be good to ourselves, to our partner, as we move through these various roles. You know, I feel like living abroad opens you up to being so much more than just a spouse, or, you know, just a boyfriend or just a girlfriend. You know, Tom is my lifeline, and he not only fills the husband role, but he's sometimes the teacher, the translator, the chauffeur, you know, the sounding board, the protector, the best friend, and all of that sometimes wrapped up into one in the same day. And I really felt this in the early days when I found myself leaning on him for everything, maybe too much. And I'm just really lucky to have the support of someone like him. So thank you, Tom. And yeah, the support system is huge. And next up, I want to close by saying that moving abroad was the best decision I've ever made. I wish I knew that then. You know, and sometimes in life, you just need to jump in head first. Stop being indecisive. I'm so guilty of that. And just know that moving abroad might be one of your best decisions. It was one of mine, and that does not mean it was easy or that it is easy. You know, and it's only normal to be apprehensive before making a major life change. And even if I don't stay in France forever, who knows? No one can take my time here away from me. And, you know, taking all the steps, preparing and researching ahead of time that would one day let me move to France and then actually liking it here, those were major accomplishments. And I do feel that moving abroad has benefited me in countless ways. Again, not always comfortable ones, but did I know all that before I moved abroad? No, absolutely not. But it really would have put me at ease if I knew everything would be okay, even through the hard times. And moving abroad has definitely, you know, without a doubt, it's brought me closer to you via this channel, something I find super fulfilling, all things we in France. And it truly, moving to France was one of the best decisions I've ever made. If I knew that before I moved, I think it would have made all the days where I doubted myself that much easier. But you know what? We live, we learn, and I certainly have in that regard. So I'm going to turn it over to you. What do you wish you knew before you moved abroad, to France, to elsewhere? Can you relate? Have you lived abroad? Is it something you're even considering? I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this kind of content, I'd love for you to hit that like button. It really does help the channel. Check out my links down below, talk to me, and I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time on We in France. Salut!